Whether you know it or not, your home is filled with microscopic particles and other invisible pollutants that may affect your health to some degree. Soot from candles, fumes emitted by furniture, microfibers from laundry, and proteins shed by pets or pests can all irritate your lungs. Even the dust hiding under your bed can be filled with allergy-triggering mites. In fact, exposure to pollutants is sometimes worse inside your home than out. Which isn't great considering the average American spends almost 90% of their time inside. The Environmental Protection Agency says indoor air pollution levels may be 2 to 5. And sometimes more than 100 times higher than those outside. One of the most common sources of indoor air pollution might be sitting in your kitchen, a gas stove. Gas stoves also emit carbon monoxide (CO), a tasteless, odorless, and colorless gas that inhibits oxygen intake. Although a carbon monoxide detector will go off at dangerous concentrations, low levels of carbon monoxide can cause fatigue and are harmful to people with underlying medical conditions. According to the World Health Organization, chronic exposure to particles contributes to the risk of developing cardiovascular and respiratory diseases, as well as of lung cancer. Fine particulate matter, which is made up of particles 2.5 microns or less, is especially dangerous. It can travel deep into the lungs and enter the bloodstream. The gas industry has pumped a lot of money into convincing us that gas stoves are the superior way to cook. But the more we learn about the health and environmental impacts of natural gas, the less natural it seems. Every time you turn on a burner or heat up your oven, your gas range produces carbon dioxide. It's estimated that gas stoves in the US emit 6.8 million tons of CO2 each year. In addition to methane, gas stoves emit carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, particulate matter, nitrogen dioxide, and formaldehyde, a known carcinogen every time you bring those blue flames to life. Whether these toxic pollutants can hurt your lungs depends on the level and length of exposure. But they are more harmful to some people than others. Nitrogen dioxide, in particular, has been linked to respiratory conditions, like asthma. The number of pollutants in the air may also depend on your gas stove's cleanliness, general maintenance, and surrounding conditions, such as ventilation and kitchen size. However, there is no found relationship between the age and cost of a stove and its emissions. What you can do to lower exposure to gas stove pollutants. There are steps you can take to lower your exposure and risks. But for some people, like those living in lower-income housing, it may be harder to take appropriate or necessary action. Lower-income homes are more likely to be located in areas with high levels of outdoor air pollution, which also increases asthma risks, and have inadequate ventilation. A 2019 study found people living in low-income homes with good ventilation had better lung function than those with poor air circulation. The research, published in the Journal of Exposure Science and Environmental Epidemiology, included more than 250 children and adults living in Colorado. That's why ventilation is key. Here are some other ways to lower exposure to gas stove pollutants. Open windows or doors while cooking. Just 5 minutes has a large impact. Install low-level, more sensitive carbon monoxide detectors in your home. When possible, cook on the back burners, which are closer to ventilation systems. Clean filters on your exhaust hoods regularly with soap and water. Use a fan, but only if it's blowing air out an open window or door. Make sure your gas stove flame tip is blue. A yellow tipped flame indicates improper adjustment and increased pollution. Run an air cleaner with a HEPA carbon filter. You can keep children away from the kitchen while cooking to reduce health risks. But Seal said some studies have shown gas stove pollutants can make their way into kids' bedrooms.